All right, quick video on creating a 12-zone PAVIRO system from scratch, not using the configuration wizard. I've got IrisNet 4.0 running here. To start out, your drop down for Bosch and then PAVIRO, and inside of there you'll find your controller. I've got one controller. I'm going to pick a single 2P500 amplifier. Both of them I'm going to leave at the default address number 1. That'd be the console and the amplifier. Let me grab my console here. I've got no extensions on my paging console. If you've got any extensions on your test system or on the system you're working with, go ahead and fill those in there. And I'm going to leave that at address number 1 as well. All right, so I've got all 3. First things first, set the IP address of your system. I am on a 2.0 network here. Make sure you hit enter after you enter in any numbers into programming within IrisNet. The changes don't take effect until, or they're not locked in until you hit enter. So it's kind of important there. Interfaces side is another kind of important thing when you're getting these things running. Your baud rate for your amplifiers, mine I have got set to 125. The reason I didn't leave it at the default, which is 10, is because of firmware updates. If you do any kind of firmware updates at 10, it could take a lot longer than it will if you raise the speed. Open interface, leave that off. There's no open interface connections to this test system. Maybe going over that in another video, basically. So, all right. So, start off here are our zones and topology. I'll go there first here. What we have to do here is basically connect our amplifier outputs to our internal router of the controller. This has to match the wiring that you have physically. There is a pilot tone signal that will be monitored between the two. So very critical that you do link those together here. All right, so the line supervision tab here, once we're in here, we've got our 12 zones. We can turn off or change the type of supervision within the system. There's impedance, no supervision, EOL, and the plena EOL. The plena EOL requires a contact closure coming back into the system to trigger for a fault. I'm just going to leave it as impedance. It's going to give me a hard time until I give it a reference impedance levels, and for that I need to do a couple measurements here. The measurement period, I always make a habit of changing that to daily versus permanent. You can do permanent. However, the controller and amplifier will click constantly because it will be cycling through all the zones doing impedance checks. This is the way, basically, in this way, it's going to do a impedance check just once a day. It'll run that test. All right, in the power management tab, there are a few things that I need to shut off. Because I don't have any battery backup and I don't have any reason to switch to standby or anything like that, I'm going to turn all this off. And that is, if I leave this on, you'll get some situations where the system will come up online and it will be in standby mode, and you'll have to flip it to mains mode. Or you'll get some faults because it's looking for contact closures and they're not there, basically. So if you're not using any kind of battery backup, this is basically the layout you can go with. At this point, I could go online and let me go ahead and go online here and send everything over. And then we'll go ahead and check our fault statuses and see if our system is functional. Go ahead and let this load. All right. So under my supervision tab, I've got a fault on the amplifier. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the amplifier itself under the supervision tab, and here we go. So it doesn't have a battery backup, and that's not connected. And there we go. No faults. System is green. I do have it wired in the same situation or in the same method as it's expecting, so no faults. At this point, I could make zone selections on the paging console, hit and hold the talk key, and we should have a fully functional system. Very basic, 12 zones, no messages, no contact closures coming in to make any changes to the system or trigger any actions, but a functional 12 zone, no fault system. I'll save this setup here and then build off of this for other videos. Thank you for watching.